Hey, welcome back to our Forum of Reality. Today we're bringing back a special guest, Dee Taylor Mason. She's a holistic healer, and she's going to be talking about a topic that both you and I find fascinating and interesting.
The last time she told me about one of my guides, which was named David, which got me thinking, how does all that stuff work? So I thought it might be of use to put it out there, how these guides, and what's the difference between a guide and a guardian angel and all those type of things. So that's the mission of this show.
Yes, is to really find out, and we're fortunate to have Dee come back and help us better understand.
Right.
So welcome, Dee. It's great to have you back on our program.
Oh, and it's great to be back with you guys. And yes, it was really interesting when we were finishing off on the last interview, where I was able to see Mike's guide standing beside him. And indeed, yours was standing a little bit further away, which led us on to that conversation. So it's they're always lovely to make contact with. And if others who are curious and interested, and I do think whoever's watching and listening to this, there must be some part of them, if they haven't already connected with their guides, maybe would like to do that and how it works.
So everyone has guides, correct? Or are they spiritual mentors, or are they people that tap you on the shoulder saying, don't do this?
Well, some of them can do that, but it depends on your system of listening to things, whether you're feeling all of that, and whether if you're not even interested in looking at guides, you're not going to be looking for the signs and seeing the signs. So imagine the frustration if somebody is trying to tell you something and you're no way picking up any of the signs and signals. It must be very difficult for a guide to be following you. They are with you, but they are multidimensional, so they can actually be with you and elsewhere. So it's not as if you're taking up their time, they are constantly with you. But we have one main guide, and that main guide, before you come into being, prior to birth, you have this plan. And the plan is that they will be with you for the duration of the time on this planet, until you pass and go on to whatever you're going to do following that. So it's somebody who would love you unconditionally, somebody who would have your best interest at heart. Part of me feels it could even be an aspect of ourselves. So if that is the case, what would you want but the best for yourself? So that kind of fits with me, that guide would be there for our very best intention.
And everyone, like you said, has a guide, even though it may not be in their belief system or their religious upbringing.
Yeah, correct. They're always there. They're always there, no matter what or who they are. And sometimes the guides don't get used at all, because if you've got that belief system and don't want to tune in, it doesn't mean to say they're not kind of gently trying to nudge you into certain things, reading certain books or whatever. But yes, everybody has a guide.
So what's the difference between like an angel, guardian angel, and a spirit guide?
Right, well, the guide, just the difference is the different dimension. Angels obviously are of a higher dimension. I don't like this higher and low, but you have to accept that angels are of a higher dimension. And your spirit guides can be many. You have the one that's coming to be with you continuously, but as you raise your vibration and your understanding and knowing, then new ones will step in. And your immediate guide would be kind of the doorkeeper, allowing those entries of those different spirit guides.
It is interesting. For a period of time, I truly believed in guardian angels growing up. And then
that's usually somebody's first step is a guardian angel.
Then when I was about 18, I said, that's a bunch of, I don't believe it. And so for at least 10, 15 years, I did not believe in guardian angels. and maybe it took that long for me to really define what an angel was, because after that, I no longer called them guardian angels. It was spiritual mentors. Do you find that a lot of people don't think that they have spiritual mentors?
Oh yes, they don't think that they have. It's almost like a self-esteem thing, especially with the clients I have with my other hat on. If you mentioned a guardian angel, well, they wouldn't think they were worthy of actually having that. Some of them, but I actually use their guardian angels when I'm working with them, because it's in my interest and their interest to have the best advice to give them. So it makes sense on that level to tune into their angel, and then we can work together. And it's been a very interesting concept.
Now, do guardian angels have a different purpose? I know you told me that my protection is Archangel Michael.
Yes.
So is that more for protection, or what's their deal?
Yeah, I think when you're doing, you come onto their radar for whatever reason. And for instance, Archangel Michael is one of my guardian angels, although they do change over. And I felt him very specifically for about 5 years he was with me. And I would see things in the sky like the cloud formation would look like a sword. For me, that was showing he was around. So for you, we had the Archangel Michael with you, around you as your major one, but you also would have perhaps Archangel Uriel, maybe at this time, and also there is another one, but I can't think of the name. That will come to me in a moment. But they interact whenever you need, or you're having thoughts, or whoever you're working with, whatever you're doing at that time, they will come in and help you. Archangel Michael particularly is very good to give you power and strength, but he's also giving you, almost like giving you the sword now, whereas he would wield his sword and help. He now, because we are raising our consciousness and our vibration, we're at a stage where he will give you the sword to wield because you use it in the proper way.
You know, Dee, you bring up an interesting point. Oftentimes we meet many individuals that said, well, the devil made me do this, or God gave me this. And
God does everything good and the devil does everything bad. It's very simplistic.
And in reality, we as human beings really make the decisions. It's not our angels or our spiritual mentors. It's not the devil. It's not.
And I've heard the devil is actually your ego. So if you let your baser instincts or whatever take over, then
could be.
That's it.
Yeah, and
but that's right. Essentially.
But the mentors are not there to direct you. The mentors are there to offer advice. Is that correct?
That's correct. And if you form a thought in your mind that you would like some advice on a certain thing, I've never really been given direct. I can't think of that being given direct help. It's come in the form of images to work out. When I first got involved with spirituality, I was looking for not so much a mentor, but a book to read. I went into a bookshop and I'm looking around the shelves, and then I see one I liked, and then walked away from it to make sure it was the one. When I got back, it was on the floor at my feet. And that was a book called Stepping into the Magic by Jill Edwards. She's since passed, but that book has been really important to me. And I loaned it to somebody, and he was working in his own premises. And as he was locking up that evening, he found it on the floor. So this book clearly liked to be on the floor to get full attention.
To wait in another day would have followed you home.
Yeah, but you can get your messages in all sorts of ways. I mean, we all know about the feathers, the feathers there, and
what would a feather mean?
What does the feather mean? Well, it's just to give you a little nod that your guide or angel there. Yeah.
Just assurance that somebody's there.
A little thought car once, and as I opened the door, there was a shelf in the centre separating the two chairs, and a huge feather was just sitting there. It was not just a feather; it was like a swan feather. And for me, this was a reminder to get writing. It was like a quill, but no way could that have got into my car.
Yeah.
It was just there. It was just put there. So seeing those signs, and once you start to really trust them, you will get more and more of them, of course. You focus on them and then they will come in. But it could be anything. Overhearing somebody having a conversation. There may be just the words that you needed to hear. It could be a teacher put on your path anyway. The fact that we're having this conversation and somebody's just tuned into it, it could have been they've been asking the question that morning or whenever, and here we are giving an explanation, which will hopefully make some sense for them. But there are many, many ways of actually getting the messages and putting people into place for you.
I think there's I don't know, if you watch, are you a Trekkie?
Star Trek fan?
I am.
Okay, you know the Prime Directive?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's actually true, right?
Yeah, I do too.
Right.
Yeah, I read.
And that's kind of the rules for them on the other side is, you can do things, but you shouldn't do things to change what's going on here. You can give messages, but you can't influence. Is that about right?
That's right. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, perfect. There's a lot of knowledge in Star Trek and other sci-fi. I love sci-fi. Because you've got to say, well, where do they get these ideas from? And of course, they're coming.
I think in the creative process, people clear their minds and they do tune in to, a higher place and get messages, and that makes its way into, films and books and different things.
Yes. And then it makes it comfortable. And as people become more comfortable with it, then maybe talk about it a little bit more. So that makes it easier, and then you've got an expansion of consciousness going on there with more and more information. But I believe we are living in such exciting times right now that they are closer. They are closer.
Okay, I asked what angels do. What's the job of the spirit guides?
Well, the spirit guide is there to try and get in touch with you, to try and give you the messages. The angels are there at a higher level. So if your questioning becomes of a higher grade, you've got this is where it gets a little bit complicated, because you've got the collective consciousness, because your immediate guide will be one of the collective. In my channeling work, if I ask a question of the collective I'm working with, and the person I'm speaking to doesn't understand or have the answer to that, they'll go off for a few seconds and bring somebody else in. So that's how it can change and interact, and that is with the angels also.
It's interesting, Dee. Most of us feel that we are the sane ones, that we are not crazy, that we have our life in order. We try to live our lives to the best of our possibility. Then we see people like Stalin and Hitler and Mussolini who have killed thousands and millions of individuals. And
or somebody who rapes a baby.
Yeah.
Just people do terrible things.
Yes.
Where are their guides? Where are their spiritual mentors? Why are they the way they are? Isn't there some kind of good influence on there?
Well, they would be most unlikely to listen to their guides for a start. But sometimes I believe, and this is a little bit harsh and it's a bit out there, almost we are experiencing on this planet polarity.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
The good and the bad. And if we didn't have people, I'm not saying this is a good thing at all, but without the extremes that we've had, very difficult for us to totally get our head round. But they've played a part in actually lifting the consciousness, further down the line. That's going to be quite hard for some people to hear, but that's what's happening. We're seeing within that energetic connection, what we choose not to be. And our aim as open beings is actually to go the route of hurt no one, but for the people who rape, it's a similar thing. This is karma, maybe the other side of karma for somebody else. And again, it's quite hard, isn't it? It's quite hard me saying it, because I'm working completely on the opposite of that. But I do agree there are two polarities, and somewhere along the line. But the question is, do they listen to their guides? Not very much chance of that, I think. But the guides will be with them when they go back, because they will be needed healing and help.
And I think also because there's such a vast misunderstanding about the other side, that we really can't sit here in the third dimension and judge another person because of the overall extending circumstances. We look at Hitler and Mussolini and
we
Stalin.
see one aspect of their actions.
Yeah. And we therefore say those people are going to hell, when in reality, there's a lot more behind the scenes that we will never know.
Exactly. I have seen or been shown that when people pass, there are places kind of like hospitals where people go and they stay there for as long as is necessary to recover, because there isn't any judgment. I do understand from
I think Pamela called that the resting place.
Yeah, the resting place. But if you have committed any heinous crimes, you're going to have to go through a period of forgiving yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so all the help is there. Have you seen the film What Dreams May Come?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
With Robin Williams?
Really, that's a really good interpretation of how things are, as I see, in a way.
So, and it's interesting how we as limited third dimensional people think that everyone experiences, and this isn't true.
Yes.
Each one of us are unique, as you have said before.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And in our uniqueness, this is what we're about, really, because we are, according to the Pleiadians, we are the living library. We are having our experience, and it is recorded for forever. So each person's individual life, even twins, when they're born, may appear to be having the same life and experiences, but they will be experiencing it differently internally. And that's who we are. And it's very important, our time here, for this recording and understanding of who we are and what is to become. It's very, very interesting, isn't it? It's such a vast, complex concept. But once you get a handle on it, you kind of understand it, really. It's just trusting, knowing. When you get the knowing, when you fully understand and know, you're getting a long way to understanding what is actually going on.
Yeah.
How many guides would you have?
Oh, it can be from 10, 20, 100, depending on how far up the scale you go or what you're doing. There are some people who live very mundane lives. They go to work 9 to 5 for 40 years with very little excitement, maybe, so they won't need the guide who's going to actually protect them while they're doing something a little bit crazy. But it all depends on the individual and where they are going in their life. And it could be that their life is perfect for that person to be doing the 9 to 5, because lots of people are extremely shining a bright light and don't know it. So say for in the workplace, that guy goes into work for his 9 to 5 and for 40 years, but he could be doing major work within his workplace just by being there with his calm light or whatever. But it's when you think of the variety of people on the planet and with each of their belief systems, and all that's going on. It's quite amazing, isn't it, really, how all this can work, but it does.
So you could have a guy start out with 20 and then he has a really boring life and they just get bored and walk off. It's like, I'm not staying here for that. There's nothing for me here to do. So I work on electronics and photography and different things. And, and you see mechanics, somebody will complain that something doesn't work and I show up and it starts working. Or, you take everybody takes the car to the mechanic and now it doesn't do whatever it was doing. Would that be part of my guides or my angels coming in and like helping me out with stuff?
Oh, yeah, most definitely, especially because you've opened up to actually having and knowing your guide is there and knowing that you've got Archangel Michael and many others. There are many others, but they just keep dipping in. They're kind of, connected. Obviously, they're connected, but then they're off doing their own thing and they come back when needed. But yeah, they'll be there helping you if it's in the higher interest to have that electricity sorted out. Then you're getting the help. And just by maybe a thought, do you feel anything, Mike, or do you hear anything?
Well, I don't know if I hear anything. Well, I do when I'm on the road, and you better look out for deer or whatever at some points, and then later on I'll see something, deer, cop, or whatever. But there'll be moments of inspiration, maybe. If I'm thinking about the problem as I'm walking to fix it, and it's like, bing, hey, it's that. And I walk in and fix that.
There it is. Yes. Yeah, that's really good, isn't it? Mm. So at some level, you probably set an intention for being able to fix these things. And so that intention set, and that's where the guides can actually come in. But if you don't ask them, it's not going to be very conducive to work. I've used it many times in my workplace when the energy hasn't been very good. I've taken angel light in before I've gone in, and it's had a huge difference of the energy and the way the day went.
Are there times when we're like alone and there's no guides or angels around us? Because I know some people might get paranoid and not want somebody watching them all the time.
Yeah, no, there's always a connection. It doesn't mean to say they're standing by your side every minute. And all they're seeing from their perspective is light. They see us as light. They're not seeing you wearing your shirts and it would make people a bit paranoid to be thinking everything that they're doing is being watched and judged, and they have no judgment at all. Remember, my belief is whoever that is loves you unconditionally, and if it is you being the guide for you, you're only going to be wanting the best for that person. But no, they see us as light.
You got my curiosity up. There's both men and women that think differently and study.
They process information differently.
Yeah, and
yes.
And have those. How about the male and female archetypes of our spiritual mentors? I'm not talking about guardian angels, but
yes.
But the mentors, do they also process their thoughts differently?
Yeah, I mean, what I'm picking up now is that they're speaking to me as we're talking, is that it's like an androgynous thought. They're both male and female, androgynous. When, for instance, with Archangel Michael, we have this picture of this male with his sword and his power, but actually you can often see him as a her. So they're switching to one or the other, but the androgynous is coming to mind. They are both. So they can adjust their terminology to whoever they're speaking to, whether it's male or female, and whatever would be needed for that vibrational connection at that time. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
So how do they communicate with us, and what different ways?
Well, when you really get connected, I mean, I don't often have conversations with them, but I get inspiration on signs and symbols, and I get feelings, so I know that they're around. It's usually a game of actually trying to decipher what they're trying to tell you, because some work's got to come in there, and this is where we were saying they can't just give you the answer to everything immediately, although if it's urgent, I'm sure there is a way of doing that. So if you work out part of what they're doing, I will describe something that happened to me as a medium, and I do readings. I don't often do mediumship work because I find it quite slow. When I'm channeling, it's all very quick. So I had a client one day, and she asked for some mediumship work within the reading. And all I was shown was a leather case. It was a thin, long leather case, about 8 inches long. And I was perplexed as to what that was. So the best thing I can do is pass that on to my client. And when I described it, and as I'm describing it, I've obviously tuned in a little bit more, so then I can see what it is. It was actually a cover for in a restaurant when you get the bill presented to you. So that's what it was. And I'm curious, thinking, what on earth is that? The lady who I was giving the reading to knew immediately. It was her father had come through on that level to advise her to go out for dinner with the rest of the family. They've been having some disruption about the family should go or not. And so her coming through with that. So you see, it was something to work with. It was something to work on. They weren't going to tell me straight away. And yet other times, if I'm in a reading, they can do. It's curious. It is curious. But the fact that the girl worked it out for herself really, really helped her. She fully got that then, and there was no mistaking what the message was. So a lot of it is little puzzles that you're having to work with, really. How does this fit there? And you are asking questions, and you may get a little bit more of it. When you've got that part, they'll give you a little bit more. So that's how it works for me.
So how can we be better communicators?
Right. Well,
and people see what they want to see a lot of times, and they're just looking for confirmation of what they already believe.
Yes.
So that's kind of a thing to fight.
Yeah, it is really. Well, in the first instance, if somebody was asking me who hadn't ever met a guide, I would get them to meditate. Meditation, just quieten the mind. You cannot contact your guide if your mind is in confusion. And if you're distressed, you can call out and ask, and they will, connect once you calm down. So meditate, focus on the breath, just that mindfulness, really calming down, and then they will be aware that there's something going on, because your vibration will have gone into something showing that you're distressed or whatever going on there, and then they will step forward, and that's when you may feel the comfort around you. They may even contact a friend of yours to issue a message to you that way. But the best thing is to connect initially, is to meditate, set the intention that you want to meet your guide, and then wait. They may come in straight away. You may be lucky. It may take some time. But if you start to do that daily, only for a few minutes, you don't have to sit there for hours. That means they'll make that connection. They will try to get to you in some way. If there is a block, it's usually out of fear. That would be a block to actually making the communication initially.
I think as human beings, there's a certain way that we want our guides, our spiritual mentors, to contact us. And if it doesn't fit with what we think it should be, then it's very easy to say, well, they're not contacting us.
Absolutely.
But what you said was very interesting, is allow them, give them time, and
Yes.
look outside your own little viewpoint, because they're probably yelling and screaming at you. You just don't hear them.
Yes.
Or shaking their head.
Yeah. Yeah. They must be pulling their hair out, mustn't they? I can describe something that happened to me, which was, I won't go into the detail of it, but a situation happened in my life where it was extremely distressing, and I had to make a decision. And once that had finished, I went home and I was in a bit of a state of shock. A friend rang me up and she said, "Look, Dee, I don't see angels," she said, "but I've got Archangel Michael standing next to me, and he is saying to me, in this particular house, I had two settees, couches, whatever you would call them, and I would alternately sit on one or another, and he had said to her, Dee is sitting in this position and she's looking at such and such." And of course that got my attention. I knew immediately that that was Archangel Michael bringing a message, and the message to him was, when you go to bed tonight, ask for healing. And I wouldn't have heard that because I was in this really upset state. I just wouldn't have heard anything. And I thought that was a brilliant way of actually getting to me to issue that message. So I tell you that because this will help your viewers who have got distressing times. It may come in a way that is totally unexpected to you.
Now, I'm a QHHT practitioner like Dolores Cannon. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
After the past life part, we talk to the higher self.
Yes.
And at that time, we can ask for healing. Now, do the angels do healing? Do the spirit guides do it? Or is it in our mind and our higher self? Is that where healing comes from?
Well, it can come from there, but I do believe at that transition, there will be other guides in there to give healing.
So if you wanted something healed, you should talk to your guides, or just
Yes.
have the intention and more importantly, probably the belief that it will happen.
That's right. Yeah, believing is the secret, really. Yes, because I think, we are the commanders of our bodies, aren't we? As well. I mean, on the physical here, if we've got an ailment, we can command our bodies to actually heal. It may be that whatever we're suffering with at that time, there's something to learn from it or something to clear. But yes, bringing in the angels for healing. As course, as a healer, that's what I do as well. I just channel that healing energy and send it forward. I'm the conduit for the healing that is given.
Okay, now being a healer, I've seen books and different things that say that the body is a reflection of the mind, I guess, and heart attacks come from possibly broken hearts. It's repressed anger is cancer, kidney stones, and those sort of things. It's a reflection of our state of mind and emotions, and it manifests in our body. And just clearing those things can help. Do you see those type of? Do you see a connection with that?
Yes, I can. And for instance, with anger, especially if they don't get rid of the anger of the problem, you can help somebody get better. They they look as though they're fully better, fully recharged. But then if they haven't changed the belief system, it will go back. It's like somebody winning the lottery. And often lottery winners lose the money very quickly because they're still in that consciousness of poverty. So it's kind of taken away from them with the healing. A lot of it is repressed anger. And if you can get to that core of why it's there, I don't want to be saying to people, you've brought this on yourself, because it's just the body's way of showing there's something not in alignment. The energy isn't quite in alignment. So what are you going to do about it? And if you take the time to actually look at your situation, your body, maybe go and see someone and talk about it, energy healing done on many levels, get to the deep core of that.
Now, I've also heard either your higher self or somebody, you may break your leg for some reason. And that's kind of, if you haven't listened to them, then that is kind of like their message: sit down and take a break.
Yeah. Yes.
So you haven't listened, so we're going to break your leg, and you are going to sit down and rest.
Yes. I do think that happens when you're further along your pathway. It's almost like if you've made a decision, conscious decision to be, right, I'm on my path, I'm finishing my mission now, or whatever, and then you just deviate, and if you keep deviating, your higher self knows what your plan is and what you really want to do, and the higher self will then could bring forth the break to get you back, so you're in that quiet, you're thinking about what's going on in your life.
Well, I tend to come to the conclusion that we are in complete control of both our subconscious and our conscious lives. And if our...
There is free will, in other words.
Right. And
There is.
if our leg gets broken, it's because of the thoughts we have done, not because of an outside source necessarily tripping us.
Yeah. Yes.
And because nothing evil happens to us unless we see it ourselves.
Yeah.
Do you
I don't
agree with
look
that?
as a broken leg as being evil.
Yeah, it hurts. That's evil. but ultimately, I believe that the calamities that befall us, it's not chaotic. We're not in the right place at the wrong time. It's because of the actions we ourselves have done throughout our life. Now,
Like a karmic payback? Is that your Catholic self coming through?
No, the karmic payback. I see the definition to be more of we are in complete control of our lives, and whatever befalls us is because we have decided to be there and not by the rocks. That.
Well, and it's intention too.
Yeah.
Like I've said on a previous show, if you wake up going, I'm going to have a bad day, the universe goes, okay, we can do that.
Very true. That is a good example. You're absolutely right. What do you think, Dee?
Well, I think I'm looking at, we're talking about maybe, if you've got a heart problem or something, you would have some belief system about that as well. Maybe somebody in the family has had a heart attack and you think, oh no, it's running down the family. But now the scientists are looking at the genetics of this, and it doesn't necessarily follow that you're following the pattern of your parents or the downline of that. So the thoughts can change the outcome of your good health. You've got people like Joe Dispenza, who is looking at all of the science and neuroscience of that. And so things are changing, aren't they, health-wise, in a bigger scale, on a bigger stage. And once we can get more of that information out to people, then the reality is we can start to be in charge and be knowing we're in charge of our bodies, and therefore making life easier. But you must get down to the belief system of that. And I know Joe Dispenza's work, they spend time meditating on good health, and very powerful, in a very powerful way. Joe Lipton as well also works in this field, and it's something your viewers may like to look at regarding health, because although we have the help from the angels and guides, at the end of the day, if we could get a grip on totally being responsible for ourselves,
sure,
and look after ourselves, we can live a lot longer. We weren't meant to be going as young as we do. This shell was supposed to last as long as we needed it, ready for the next transition.
Yeah, that's a good point. The kind of clients you would like to work with, or who have found your services to be extremely helpful. Can you give us a typical client? What kind of a client? I know it's both men and women, But
Yes.
what are they looking for from you, and how can you help them?
Well, various things. Smoking, that's still an old one to get on with. I can do that in one session. The person who comes for something like that has to really want to do it, really seeking help to actually, get that service from me. Recommendations I don't really take from smoking. It's got to be somebody who's decided, and this is it, I'm doing that. So I can work really well with that. All sorts of things, really. We've got anxieties, which can be manifested from any area of their lives which is affecting the body. So getting into the anxiety of anything. With children also, if they're doing exams and things like that, I work with children. Any habits that need to be broken, and any spiritual guidance, that's other things that I look at. But for the work, really, it is those issues. And sometimes within that work of the hypnosis, I can then go into regression to go back to see if they've brought that back on a timeline into this lifetime. So we can go back and often release the problem from that position.
All right, going backwards a little bit, I guess a question, who are the guides? Are these relatives or people we don't know? Were they even people, or are they just spirits that have never incarnated? Who would these guides be?
Often it's within your spiritual family, and your spiritual family not necessarily the family that you hold on this planet. And they can be from other dimensions. That is usually, though, from when you've wakened up, when you've woke up and asking the questions and asking more questions. You will get multi-dimensional beings from all planets maybe coming in to speak to you, as I do with my channeling. And but often family, they will stay with you as well. And I did hear something recently which I thought I've had to get my head around, that when you pass over, all your family from here can actually meet you on the other side as well, because we are multidimensional. So you're being met not only by the groups and everything that you're connected to, but also the family here in the multidimensional way. And I think that's really wonderful to hear that. I didn't understand that concept until recently. But yeah, they're from everywhere. They're from everywhere. From where you're at your point of questioning and knowing. As soon as you start to raise your vibration, the next ones come in. Like, right, you're ready for this? Here we go. We'll take you a little bit further. So it's best, if you can, if that's your wish, to get to the next stage and bring them in, and use this time we've got on this planet to actually have fun. It's here, we're supposed to be here to have fun and expand our awareness. It's become very heavy with things going on around the planet. If we can try and distance ourselves from that, because that energetic vibration isn't helping us. Unless there's anything we can do physically, then remove ourselves from that energetic connection.
So when a person talks with you, do you sense that you're in communications also with their guides, their spiritual mentors?
Yeah, often it's with the guides, especially once I've got them into the state of hypnosis. And my sessions tend to be a lot of NLP, thought field therapy, before we get to the final bit, which is the hypnosis, which may only take about 15 minutes. I go into a trance myself as I put them into a trance, and then just before I go too deeply, I pull out. And at that point, I've connected with their guides as well, and often they're speaking through me to my client.
Now, the Indians had a couple questions about animals. Indians gave, everybody had a spirit animal. Is there any animal side to spirit guides?
Yeah, you can have a totem animal that's with you. You may even have animals as pets who are connected to you on different levels. That they've been here to actually help you And I have heard of dogs, for instance, if they're with somebody who's ill, they're here to absorb some of that energy, to take it away from their owners, things like that. So animals play an important part. But you often get animals such as wolves, things like that, which are the totem animal around you.
And then do animals have any spirits that help them?
Well, it seems
Or
to me
maybe
that
they're
they
not
must,
that high on the evolutionary scale.
but they must have some connection with the guides. I'm not quite sure what that is,
Right.
To be honest with you, but I feel they must have.
So when you start communicating with the spiritual guides, with the individual, etc., do you just sense them? Do you see them? Do you hear them? What is the process that you go through to recognize that you're talking with the spiritual guide?
And maybe not everybody sees them the same. Different people have different, some people hear and some people see. Maybe that's different for everyone.
Yes, well, I get an impression, and I can tell my voice. We can all be channelers, and sometimes we'll come out with a sentence to somebody and think, where did that come from? And it's similar to that for me. So if I start to talk about whatever I'm talking about with my client, and then suddenly I'll be inspired to say something else. So I haven't formed that in my mind. It's just kind of flowing through me. So
And you trust that.
I do trust that, because I've made sure before I've even set off with my clients that I've prepared for that eventuality. My wish has been. In fact, I went to some training with some really special people. I've been very fortunate in having some special teachers, and I've been able to see that there is a guide around them. So in the early days, I would get home and I would type all my messages from Spirit, and my question was, who is the guide that is guiding this particular person? And then my fingers are moving all over the place, and I've got the answer. We are the guides. If you would like to call upon us when you're in your work, then we can help you. So they come at you in different ways. My question was there, and immediately, wow, we've got you. Let's come. It must be so frustrating when they've got all of this information that they could be giving us, and we just haven't been open to it or take the time, because we have lives. We have to do our work. We have to live on this planet. We're recording everything that we do on this planet, and there isn't always the time to actually make that connection. And I go from time to time where I haven't had a connection for a while, and then as soon as I tune in, go into meditation, they're back, they're there, and that's exciting.
Yeah, I imagine it's sort of like a parent and a 4-year-old child. You can communicate, but it's not quite at the depth.
Yeah.
And explaining things is just a little frustrating, trying to explain the ways of the world. And
Yes.
then the other side of unconditional love, that you only want the best for them. And even if a 4-year-old makes a mistake, it's like, that's cool, still love them, no problem.
Yes. The wonderful thing about the new children coming in, though, they will have these gifts.
Right.
And you'll be able to communicate with them, and you'll be going to the 4-year-olds and asking them what they're seeing.
Yeah, until we tell them they're not right. That's the problem.
Yeah.
They forget, and then they start listening to us.
Yeah. Yes. I don't think they're going to forget, though, the new ones. They're not going to forget.
Yeah.
Have you ever put yourself in a group where you're teaching, and then you get into that spiritual awareness? Can you see multiple guides then? If you're talking to a group of 100 individuals, I would imagine that
There's 500 guides there.
Yeah. Does that ever? What is
Yeah,
it?
they would be. I don't see them all. I can sense them. For instance, if I'm in a group and doing a channeling, and my intention is for each person in the audience to hold a question, and that question will be answered by their guides who have joined us for the channeling. So if you can almost imagine a powerhouse of energy that's coming through me as the channel, and then this will already be set up well before we've actually got the date for the venue, and then many guides will be there to speak to the people who are working. Kind of how mediums work as well with a group, isn't it? Whereas I like to do channeling because it means everybody would get their individual message, whereas often with the mediumship, they often maybe have 10, maybe 15, if you're lucky, out of a group of 50 people get a message. So I set that intention before we go in and before they start, so they can get some message that way. And because they're in that loving, energetic environment, they're open to receiving that message also.
Got a really interesting question for you. But what came to mind was, have you ever worked with an individual and found out that they are really an alien?
No, I haven't.
An off-worlder?
Yeah, no, I haven't had that. I have friends who have seen very strange energies coming out of various people, but not that I'm aware of. But of course, they could be aliens, because we can be, but not specifically.
I think that would be neat to see if they have the same spiritual mental process that we feel we have.
Yes. It would be interesting, wouldn't it, really, to have a really good chat with them, of course, because would they actually come to somebody like me anyway? You know, if they're an enlightened being of a higher dimension, you maybe hope it would be, would they be bothered to be going into the mainstream?
Yeah. We only have a few more minutes, and I know that you have a list of things that you wanted to discuss. Please give us some words of wisdom.
Words of wisdom. Well, I think for your viewers who are watching this, if you haven't come across guides and angels before, or you will have heard of them, and would like to make that connection, please do it. You've been prompted to watch this and prompted to listen to what is going on. If there's any more questions you need to ask your guides, and messages will come through. But it seems such a shame that people don't always do that when that information is available to everybody, and your guides would be rejoicing if they could make that connection with you and help you, because that is all they're there for, just to help you.
Yeah, I think our society, though, and our religious upbringing, and our the fact that we can't see them, etc., the element of fear really is very strong with many individuals.
And the other thing that religion does, it teaches you that you and God or spirits are separate, when actually God and us, God runs through everything, and we're not out here alone just wallowing around aimlessly. You know, there are people helping us. There are people on the other side that love us unconditionally, and you know, you're not alone.
That is true.
I think that's
where we are, especially this time. You know, we've got the planet ascension going on, and so they're here. You know, that they're here, as we have many light workers around the planet, many seeded people who are here to actually do their work, and each one have their entourage with them. So
Very
it's
true.
bringing that energy into the planet, isn't it, really? Which,
Yes.
Thank you very much, guys. We really appreciate all of that.
Yeah. And so if individuals want to talk with you more, and I know that it's going to be posted below, but they can contact you, can they not?
Yeah, they can contact me on my website, www.Taylor-Mason.com, and then you can contact me from there. There are my emails and things are on that.
And your website is well done in the fact that you have other kinds of things on there?
Yes, it is. It shows the list of the therapies that I use, how I use them. It also gives a little bit of a story about me and how I channel certain information. And then there will be shortly becoming my web workshops and things like that, which can be done via Skype, or I see people or on a one-to-one or in small groups.
Okay.
Yeah, this Skype thing is really cool because it just kind of opens up the world to people.
Yeah, it is true. It's very
amazing.
true.
It is amazing, isn't it? The world we live in right now.
Because you are over in England,
Mm-hmm.
and we're over here in the States. And
Yes.
who would have thought 15 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, who'd have thought? I used to go down to the local telephone box to speak to somebody, you know. And now we have these tablets and telephones in that short space of time. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah, you used to talk, it cost hundreds of dollars to talk to somebody for half an hour on the other side of the ocean.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's also interesting, 15 years ago, who would have thought we would be talking with individuals like yourself, who has had a lifetime of contacting their spiritual guides and mentors, etc. And you know, that's part of the purpose of the show, is to highlight individuals that have those skills and talents like you do, so that other individuals could possibly benefit from the wisdom that you have and the techniques.
Yeah, we hope so. They're getting different aspects of life are coming through with the people that you interview as well. It's really lovely for that to be out there for people just to pick up when they're ready, and the fact that they can watch it anytime and rewatch it. It's amazing, actually, isn't it? To think, as you said, we're across the pond and here we are.
You know, it is also interesting, Mike, and I think we discussed this once before, just you and I. But sometimes you can look at a video, like for instance, we have listened to our video, our guests, and one time when you listen to it, you pick up something, and then another time you listen to it, something else, and you're going, I never knew that.
Right.
And you know, when you have individuals like Dee coming on and you listen to it, you think, oh, I know everything, but when you re-listen to it, wow.
Yeah. It's the same with books, isn't it? You read a book sometimes and then pick up something the next time. It's your consciousness is awareness of what you're focusing on, and you pick up the next stage, really.
Well, very good, very good. Dee, have any interesting things coming up for you that the viewing audience would like to, like for instance, you have a book coming out, hopefully in the next year?
Within the next year, I'm working on the book now. It's not a very thick book, but it's got a lot of information in it, and I'm working on that. I would like that to be at the editors by the end of November.
Good.
So
good. Excellent.
The pressure's on now to get that finished.
Well, I would hope that, I know that Magenta Pixie just completed her book, and that's out, and we've had several other guests that have electronic books and different books, and we would like to share those with you. So when it's done, please let us know so we can get a copy, and then we can make sure our listening audience has it. You will come on back on our show, will you not?
Oh, I'd love to. Yes.
Okay, good.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again today. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, it's our pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's been a great conversation, I think.
Yes. So
Good.
Mike, really appreciate having this venue, and until next week, I'll see you. Dee, thank you very much.
Take care.
Okay,
Bye.
thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next week on a Forum of Reality.